I'm Jana.
And I'm Sarah. Welcome to the Cripps Leadership Advisors podcast.
So we spend our days helping brilliant business leaders tackle tough challenges. And this podcast is basically a way for you to eavesdrop on the kinds of conversations we have with each other and with our clients.
So whether you're leading a team, a company, or you're just curious about leadership, we're glad you're here. Let's dive in. Hey, Jana.
Hi, Sarah. How exciting that we are finally doing this.
Podcast 1.
I know.
Are you ready?
I'm very ready. I've got lots to say.
I know. Let's try and control that. Yeah.
Yes, how are you feeling?
I'm good. Thank you. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. I'm looking forward to the whole series, actually. I think it's going to be really interesting. So topic today is?
The illusion of control.
Good one to start.
Yes. One that we've been thinking a lot about and seeing a lot in our work. And we thought it was a good one to start because I think it also sets some themes of a lot of other challenges that people are facing. So, Sarah, do you remember how this topic came about?
I remember vividly how this topic came about. I believe it came about just before that workshop with a private equity institution.
Yes.
And as I remember, we were working hard at thinking about how are we going to be credible and get the attention of an audience of financial wizards when we're going to be talking about influencing and gaining a connection with the boards that, you know, the people on the boards that they sit on. And our moment of inspiration, I think, came when we realised that what we had planned was probably totally the opposite of what they thought.
Yes. The kind of workshop was around emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
Right? And we were like, how do we not make this fluffy? How do we not make this, emotional intelligence rolling eyes? And what we realized when we designed it was actually what we are going to go tell them is how do you take the emotion out of the situation? And they might be thinking, 2 psychologists coming, we're going to tell them how do you become aware of the emotion or bring the emotion into the situation, or, empathy meaning be more emotional, and it's actually, no, being empathic actually means taking your own emotion out of it. And that kind of made us realize that a lot of the work that we do is around this thing of helping people understand their triggers, their emotional responses, and being able to kind of identify that, put that aside, and be able to be more productive, impactful by actually looking at things in a more objective way. Because when we are driven by our emotions, we are actually being counterproductive.
Or we can be.
Yeah.
And that's the illusion.
Yes. People are trying to get control over a situation, but because we can't get control and we feel out of control, our emotions kick in, our fight, flight, or freeze mode kicks in, our stress responses kick in. And when we function out of that place, we actually lose control out of the situation. And then it just becomes a vicious cycle. So the more we kind of push in the same direction, acting out of what we feel is logical and productive, but actually out of our emotions, the more we are losing control. And so where we often meet clients is coming to us going, I'm so frustrated because this stakeholder is doing this, or this leader is doing this, or this individual is not aligned with me, or can't get this individual to agree with me. And it's kind of taking them back to go, what you are doing, is it actually helping you get influence over the situation, or is it actually limiting it?
But you know what I find fascinating is, especially, let's go back to the finance group.
Yeah.
If you were to ask that group, are you more emotionally orientated or are you more logic orientated? What would they say?
Logic, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, they are. And I think that was the penny dropping moment, if you remember, kind of late morning, in that when their realization was, I thought I was super rational, super logical, I deal with numbers, I'm really fantastic at modelling intricate financial and mathematical situations, and in my behaviour in the boardroom when it all really comes to fruition, because the modelling is just done independently in front of my screen, but when it really matters and I'm in front of other people in the boardroom and I need to influence the CEO, or I need to garner support around this table for maybe doing something different based on my modelling, it's the emotional informed behaviour that's taking over, and it doesn't work for them because they're not suitably aware of it.
But I also think, with this investors, but you see it very often with people that are individual contributors, that are technical leaders or technical individuals and then going into leadership roles, is a big part of success for the first part of your career is I can directly influence and control success. Sometimes I need to work with some other people to do the task, but predominantly success depends on something that's very logical and that's very predictable.
And it's very me.
Yes, and
Success is about me passing my exams. Really, that's been a lot of our lives.
Yes. And when it comes into the workplace, when we are doing tasks and kind of, solving technical problems, it's a very predictable outcome. If I work hard and I understand this and I put this in, I will get this out. Now, all of a sudden, I move into a leadership role, or for these investors, I move onto a board, or I need to start managing, senior leaders of portfolio companies. And success is depending on other people. And they are still trying to apply the same tactic, the same strategy as they did with their tasks, which is logic, facts. We're going to focus on this needs to be right, this needs to be wrong. There's a black and white, there's only a right, there's only a wrong.
It will only happen if it happens through them. It's all about them. It's all about them. And I think the biggest eye opener for me is if someone is operating, behaving, delivering in a way that isn't working for the situation that you're desperately trying to influence or bring about or make happen, then you have a huge amount to do with that. I think that's a very counterintuitive shift.
Yeah. So the illusion of control is, I think I can control the situation if I just focus on what I need to do.
Yes,
and the shift
yes.
is I can actually get more influence and more control if I start focusing on other people and what they need.
Yes.
And that's basic psychology, right? It's like, if you want to influence people, it's marketing, it's whatever. If you want to influence people, you need to understand what do they need and what do they want. But it becomes difficult. It's very intellectual, we can say that is what. But where it becomes difficult, like you say, where it becomes counterintuitive, is when we are in that stress response. When the stakes are high.
Yes.
And, maybe when we are feeling calm and at our best, we can put ourselves in someone else's shoes and understand what they need. But it becomes more difficult when stakes are high, when we are in that fight, flight, or freeze. And our behaviours, when we are in that space, is telling us, protect yourself, protect yourself,
yes,
protect yourself.
yourself.
And it becomes even more difficult. And then the vicious cycle gets created where I'm in the space, I'm not getting control. And because I'm not in control, I continue to be in that space. And it's about equipping leaders to really break that cycle.
Another variable that has occurred to me. So there is something around when you're not feeling that pressure, when the stakes are not so maybe critical to you, you have that capacity of mind and grace, actually.
Yeah, you do have grace,
to suspend what it is you need, you want, what is important to you right now, and occupy the shoes of the other person. So empathy. Another variable at play I think we see playing out is when the counterparty is very different to you. I think it's harder to occupy their space.
Yes. There's something interesting for me about our instinct and kind of evolutionary psychology.
Yes.
which is kind of how I see it in my mind, is if you go all the way back to tribal times where, we were in our tribe, and when you maybe were walking in the field and you found another tribe, the instinct is to go, are they safe or are they dangerous? And as soon as there is any signal of danger or misalignment in the modern world, or things are not aligned, or we don't agree, or we don't see eye to eye, we push them away. They are not one of us, and we create a distance between them. And I think how that translates into the business world, which is where I often meet leaders that I coach, is that they've labeled so many people in their kind of stakeholder world. Well, that person, I mean, it's impossible to work with them because they are so resistant. You can never get any information out of them. And, that person, he's so emotional. He's always going on. And it's just all these labels. And it feels logical because I have been given information by these people that they are resistant or that they are emotional or whatever, where actually it's our instincts that is creating distance between us and other people.
Yes.
And as long as there is distance between me and someone else, it is impossible. If you think you are able to influence someone when you've already made up your mind about them, you've got to think again. It's impossible to have influence over someone. So I'm actually thinking about a specific individual that I used to coach for quite a while. They worked in the private equity space and they sat on a lot of boards in the kind of asset management space. So that means managing a lot of assets, dealing with portfolio companies and their senior teams. And this specific leader, every single coaching session, we were speaking about the CEO in one of their portfolio companies. And they were kind of describing them through these labels that they've placed on them. So the CEO is resistant, the CEO is domineering, the CEO is overly risky, they don't understand the growth plan, they don't understand the numbers, they don't prioritize the right things, and actually to a point of, I don't think they are the right person for this job. Keeping in mind that the CEO was the founder of this business and the private equity business only came in a year before that.
And that's often the way, huh?
And that is often the way. And it was quite interesting how I met this leader in just a complete space of frustration. The way they were speaking about the CEO was they were thinking about the CEO day and night. It was taking up all their time. They couldn't get alignment. They couldn't influence this person. And it was really interesting because the coaching that we had to go through was getting them away from a place of this distance that they've created between them and the CEO by putting labels, going resistant CEO, not good enough CEO, and actually moving towards that individual, spending time with them, really understanding what is their priorities around this business. And by doing that, they were able to actually step into a place of influence.
And can I ask, what compelled them to change their mind, not on the labelling, but from adopting a position of, I'll stand my ground and label versus I'll come away from this and step towards this person and find out what I really think about them? What was the prize for doing that?
What I was saying to them in a very honest conversation was, keep trying the same thing and nothing is going to change.
Yeah.
At the very least, just trust me and let's try a different strategy. The most difficult part was getting them to stick with that strategy. The first time they spent some time with the CEO, still frustrated. Come back, I tried, but, they don't listen to me. They're still resistant. It's about sticking with it, trying the alternative strategy over time until you start seeing the change and until you start getting the feedback that I'm getting more influence.
Because, of course, the CEO was on the receiving end of something different. So we have to give them some time to work out what's going on here and why the sudden change in tone. So it's not just about giving yourself time. It's about acknowledging that the other person needs maybe even more time than you.
That's actually a very interesting point. Do you remember when we did some work, well, actually with a lot of the investor professionals that we work with, they also have labels of people, and they will often say, well, teaching me empathy is all good and great, but if I'm working with a psychopath, empathy isn't going to help me, right?
Yes.
They put these labels on people, and they're like, it doesn't help I try to do something different, but that person still gives me the same thing back. And what I saw with this leader is the kind of proof that when you start, not always, but when you start to give a different type of energy and bring a different type of interaction and helpfulness into that dynamic, usually the other person tends to respond in a different way as well.
And can I add one thing here, which I think is really important? I think it is about what's the mentality you're going into that conversation with, because not massively scientific, but the old adage of 80% of communication is nonverbal. They will detect. People can detect. Are you here with good spirit? Are you here to test me? Or you're here to experiment with me? So I think you have to get your head straight and in a very positive and hopeful and optimistic place before you then go in and have that conversation, because people will sense it.
Which is why the upfront work of really understanding that I'm also unhelpful here is important to go in with the right intent. Because if the intent is, okay, I'm going to try some empathy, let me ask them what they want to know, what they want.
Let's see if they respond to this.
Let's see if they respond to it, just so I can get what I want. It's not going to have the real impact that you need it to have.
Exactly.
There's something I think else as part of this topic, which is what triggers us. What is our, what will trigger us to go into that cycle of being in the stress response, being in fight or flight.
And we can get that. We can use psychometrics to surface what are those needs and what are those triggers, and to quantify the extent to which you are likely to be triggered by it. So we can use hard-nosed data to get this.
I think it's quite interesting that often so our triggers come from our drivers and our motives, right? Our core needs of what is really important to us and what do we really need. But it's quite interesting that very often our stress responses limit the satisfaction of that need. So for me, connection is really important. Connecting with people, working, collaborating, working together. And when I sense that someone else is not being helpful, or not collaborating with me, or not being open to connection, that's a trigger for me. And my stress response is flight, because I don't like to engage in conflict. So I withdraw myself from that person. And I just kind of get on with things. And it's not going to, the kind of voice inside my head is saying it's not worth it to try to connect with this person. It's not worth it to engage with them, even though I might need them to have influence in my job and to do my work better. The stress response is saying it's not worth it, withdraw, just focus on what you do, just focus on your own thing. So firstly, by doing that, I'm limiting my influence, right? Because I'm now unable to get them aligned with what we need to do. But more interestingly is I'm also actually limiting the satisfaction of my need for connection. So the exact behavior I'm employing is actually taking me further away from the thing I
that's the repeating cycle we
need
see
and seek.
That's the repeating cycle we see. That's why it's an illusion. And that's, if you go right back to the beginning of what we were saying, it's that I feel I want to just go away and just do my own thing because this is going to be futile. I'm not going to waste my time with this person anymore. They make me feel really annoyed and unwanted. But the irony is you're now denying yourself the very thing you wanted in the first place.
Exactly.
And that's where this came from.
Yes, exactly.
That's where this came from. I can think of a situation. Is this one, Jana? So this is a client. This is banking, actually, a few years ago. So think of banks needing to make quite significant moves to a more digital kind of environment and way of working. New departments set up to help do that. And the leader of that department did have a big job on their hands.
Yeah.
And they'd kind of inherited an interesting group of people that needed to kind of create this. I won't say too much about what it was, but it was a way of working that the bank would need to adopt.
Yeah, I remember this.
To suit the digital situation. And this is interesting. So this is someone who, power, controlling the agenda, having it their way, very clear in their sense of how it needs to look, wanted to quite significantly control what was going to happen here.
Can I just quickly clarify something?
Yes.
Before you carry on with this?
Yes.
I think when we say control, for a lot of people, it's not always about wanting to be on top or to dominate or to take over.
No, it's not overwhelm.
It's not overwhelm. It's not being in control, being the one. It's having the ability to have influence over the things that affect me. So I think control is actually, for some people, it will be more elevated. But I think the reason why this topic is relevant is it's not just for the people that, I want to be in control, I want to be the top one. It's
a good clarification.
It's everyone where we really do seek having personal agency of the things that influence us.
Well, isn't it? Aren't we saying here that it is worth clarifying? It's not about being overpowering.
Yeah.
But it is about having things fall my way as I feel I need them.
Yes.
So here was someone who did definitely have a very clear picture in their mind's eye about how this needed to happen, probably, and they deliberately stood back. I think probably because they'd had feedback of, you can be too overpowering. So they said, I know what I'll do in this situation. I won't be overpowering. I'll deliberately step away and leave them to fathom this out for themselves, which, noble gesture and could have worked. It didn't end that well, actually, because the team that this person was leading and managing didn't have enough know-how, experience or knowledge to fathom what needed to happen. And so the leader was controlling the situation, thinking this is the better way of doing it. But again, the outcome eluded them. It was far, and it got further and further and further away, actually. So when we talk about control, it doesn't have to be, close, over control, micromanaging, overwhelming. It is, so this person was trying to control the outcome in
a different way.
In a different way, in their way.
But still through what they thought was best.
Still through, this is what I think, this is what I want. And
Yep.
the bit that was missing was for them to tune into and move forward and
Yep.
step towards the group of people that were really struggling.
Yeah. Understanding
to fathom what on earth they're meant to be doing.
what do they really need?
Yes.
What do they
Yes.
need?
And it's all about decoupling. My preference here is my decision, my idea of how we will handle this is. So I think it's just not confusing or conflating. Control means being overbearing.
Yes.
There's a subtlety to what we're saying.
Yes.
So how do we help people overcome this?
I think
What is required to help?
I think the first, but actually most difficult step is having some introspection around what am I doing that's actually unhelpful to the situation. And, a buzzword that gets used so much is self-awareness. People need to be more self-aware, and it starts with self-awareness, starts with understanding yourself. But it is really, really difficult, especially, again, when we're on high stakes, when things are moving quickly, when it's go, 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 when there's a lot of expectations on our shoulders. it's really psychologically difficult for all of us to truly look inwards and go, what am I doing that is not being helpful? Everything in us will tell us, no, it's not you, it's not you, it's not you, it's not you. It's, what's that bias where you, other people's behaviours,
Attribution.
Yeah, you attribute to...
When it's going well, it's all down to me. When it's not going well, it's all down to them.
Yeah. Or if it's not going well with me, it's due to external circumstances.
Yes.
Yeah, where it's not going with other people, it's due to them.
Yes.
You know, Sarah, you really...
Read the papers.
Yeah.
They...
Sarah, you should really take ownership of your health. You know, if you don't... If you're getting sick all the time, have you drank your vitamins?
Yeah.
Where if I'm getting sick all the time, it's like, I can't win. I'm getting sick all the time.
Yeah.
So it's this whole notion of it is real. We need to have grace and empathy with our clients that it is really difficult to get to a point where we can actually admit I might be doing something wrong. But when we can get them to admit that, I think it's quite liberating. You know, a lot of our clients are super clever, super capable. If we just get them to a point where they realize they can truly admit I'm not being helpful in the situation and I'm not helping helping myself have influence, then the other strategies and tools, which we can talk about as well, I think becomes secondary. It becomes easier.
Yeah. Well, isn't it, first of all, acknowledging this is not working sufficiently well. Number two, this is not working sufficiently well because I am in the way. I am contributing to that. But then number three is this is not working sufficiently well. I am contributing to that. And I have noticed, I have actually tuned in to what it is that's causing me to do that. So I think there's then a third stage, which is can one notice in a moment how they are in themselves. Is there, I'm not feeling clear-headed here. I'm actually becoming cross and irrational here. I'm not breathing even properly here. So how can that mean that I'm in a good state? And actually noticing physically and psychologically where they are. And I think being able to grip that then provides optionality of what you can do. And it starts to kind of spiral up rather than spiral down. But you have to go through those stages.
And I think there's a fourth step.
Oh, gosh, go on.
Which is you can do the self-work. You can understand you're not being helpful. You can even know what it is that causes it to change it.
Yeah.
But you need to be brave to do it then. Because doing things counterintuitively, going back to the tribal thing of everything in our instinct is telling us create distance, protect myself. Going counterintuitively and having that difficult conversation or spending time with that person or truly suspending what I think is right in the situation it's difficult, it's brave, and it is also stepping into the unknown.
It is. Someone once described it years ago, I mean decades ago, but it's always stuck with me and I use it all the time, is imagine spending the day with your shoes on the wrong feet.
Yes.
You know, I don't know if you ever did it as a child. You think,
I didn't wear my shoes.
Really not right today. What is it? I feel really uncomfortable. And then you realise you've got your shoes on the wrong feet.
For me, that was just wearing shoes. I was always bare feet.
But it's that feeling of, could you stand the feeling of wearing your shoes on the wrong feet for the whole day? And it's that.
And sit with it.
Sit with it and handle it. Yes. Stay with.
And don't
a deep feeling of discomfort.
Don't swap them back as soon as it's not working.
Yes.
It is difficult, but when you can crack it, your headaches around people, your frustrations around misalignment, your frustrations with not having the influence you want or need to have can reduce a lot.
So let's just be clear. One is acknowledge this isn't going well enough. 2, acknowledge I have quite a big part in that. Number 3, notice where are you? What is it that you're bringing to that dynamic? Are you bringing a cross face? Are you bringing closed ears? Are you bringing a sense of over urgency and panic and actually kind of frightening other people? So notice.
Sometimes it can be, I'm bringing, it's all fine, it's all good.
Yes.
You know, I don't know why you're stressing about this, because I'm it can be so many different things.
It can be so many things, but the impact it's having isn't working.
Yeah, you really got to understand what it is for you, because even if you don't fall into the classic categories of being toxic or being over-dominating or being upset or being visibly angry, there's so many other stuff that could be unhelpful.
There are 2 stages at the end, which is 1, step towards the person or the people rather than keep the distance. So going back to your, I'm feeling quite skeptical, I'm feeling a little bit like annoyed with this or thrown by you.
Yep.
It is that counterintuitive step of move towards danger almost. Going back to the evolutionary thing. I don't know who you are. I don't know why you're doing this, but nothing's going to happen here unless I step towards you. So I'm going to step towards you and connect, and then there's something around, and maybe it's simultaneous.
Stick with it.
Yeah. Put your shoes on the wrong feet, feel uncomfortable, and don't swap them over too soon. Don't swap them back.
There's a broader, just interesting kind of philosophical theme for me here, which is, you know, you were talking about, what is it? The chimp paradox.
Oh, yes.
Yesterday, when we were kind of thinking a little bit about today's topic.
Which is essentially this.
It's like these different parts in your mind, right? The emotional or the instinctual, which is the chimp, and then your rational, which is the human. Anyways, I was just listening to a podcast that interviewed the author to kind of just get a bit of inspiration. And it was quite interesting because what he was saying is our tribes are actually supposed to be quite small. What he was saying is our like the chimp tribe is quite small, and the only thing you need to focus on is being able to be loved and appreciated and approved by this tribe, because they will keep you safe.
Yes.
And actually, as part of the natural survival strategy, you don't really need to interact with other tribes. Where we have put ourselves in a world of work, where we are constantly required to interact with other tribes. Think investor professionals, private equity meets operator company, CEO,
health and safety obsessed CEO.
Health and safety, CEO. So it is so counterintuitive. It's so difficult. They are almost set up for failure. And if there's not a really intentional intervention around it, it's just going to be frustrating and challenging. Because the way we are actually set up as humans is it's instinctually we are not meant to survive in this world that is so global, that we've created this economy, that we are meant to get approval and alignment with all these different stakeholders. I think there's a broader thing here, which is we need to re-equip ourselves with the skills to be able to survive in the modern world.
Yes, which then draws in this whole debate, which is circulating at the moment around, global teams.
Yeah.
Being kind of led through a virtual channel. I mean, that does so little to create connection and understanding and stepping into their shoes. And, what greater hurdle can you think of than being on the other side of the world? And
no, it's not natural.
And only seeing you through a screen.
You need to be so intentional.
Correct.
I mean, I'm thinking about, a lot of our mining clients, the leaders at the top that we work with, their teams are completely global in different time zones.
Yes.
I mean, they're not even awake at the same time.
Yeah.
So that's a completely different set of leadership skills that's required to really connect with that team, get them aligned. While we are having this conversation, I'm really thinking about how do I apply this for myself. I think this is a leadership podcast, and it's around leadership challenges. And obviously leaders need to be able to influence a lot more people. But I think all of us in our day-to-day work is required and is depending on other people to influence things that we want to influence in our way. And so I'm just thinking about what can I take from this? Where am I really still having a blind spot? Even though I intellectually get all of this, I still get frustrated. I still feel sometimes misaligned with people. So I'm just thinking kind of out loud, what would I do differently? Is there anything that you kind of take from this that you would do differently?
Yes, there is. I think the thing that's really crystallized for me in our thinking and our conversation here is, I don't know if it's a realization or an acknowledgement that other people's, what I might classify as poor behaviour, is actually probably a product of mine.
Wow.
Or a result of my own. And I find that quite hard.
That's
because
difficult.
That is quite difficult because I am someone who strives to do good and bring good and help and support and serve others, and to actually realize that if it's not happening in front of my eyes, then they don't like what they're getting, frankly. They don't like me. They don't appreciate what I'm doing, and I've really got it wrong. And that's quite a hard pill to swallow. But I think that's what I'm taking away. And it's down to me.
I think working with you, it's also that, you have such a high expectation of yourself and therefore of other people as well.
I am easily disappointed.
and not necessarily like setting high standards, being like, you need to work super. It's more about show up, take ownership, be the best person you can be for other people. That is your expectation you have. And ironically, that is the trap for you, which is when people don't do that, the label is put on to go, it's
very bad.
It's bad. It's you need to be different. So
but obviously I'm doing something that's or my expectations are unrealistic, and and I shouldn't project. But either way, it's about owning that if it's not working, then you have a lot to do with that.
I think for me it is around having the difficult, open, honest conversations. I think I flip between the two. So when I feel misaligned, as I mentioned earlier, because of that need for connection, when I feel misaligned with people, I withdraw and I maybe become passive aggressive, or I just avoid. And, the voice inside my head says it will be a waste of time. All it's going to achieve by having that conversation is them not liking you, them getting defensive, having a breakdown in trust. Well, actually, the breakdown in trust is already there because we're not having the honest conversation. And then sometimes I think I'll flip to the other side where I become super assertive, where I become super like, I've had enough now. I need to say something about this. And for me, it's about...
But even then, that's coming from a place of frustration rather than...
It's from a stress response. So it's about finding a middle ground, but going into that honest conversation, and this is where I think the difficult part comes, not around how I'm going to tell you what you need to understand about this situation, what you need to do differently, but going into that honest conversation by also being honest with myself around what did I do to be unhelpful in that situation, which is the difficult part.
It is. And so in summary, what would we encourage clients or people out there in demanding jobs to do if, to move away from operating with an illusion of control and bringing that to, a position of reality and genuine influence and, for want of a better word, control of the situation? What do they need to do?
I think the warning sign is when you are starting to feel frustrated with people that you are working with and feeling empowered that there is an alternative, better way to manage it. I think we can sometimes tell ourselves, well, that person is just that way. There's no way I can change that.
There's nothing we can do here.
Feel empowered by understanding this pattern, feel empowered. I need to empower myself. I can do something about this. And then following some of these steps that we spoke about, which is becoming aware of really my unhelpful behaviors. That's the most difficult part.
Get the data.
Yeah.
Get the data to allow that
Understand your
to happen.
triggers,
Yes.
understand,
Work with facts.
and then be brave, I think.
So, Jana, we should probably wrap up. We've covered a lot. Thank you. Thank you for your conversation and insights as ever.
It was great. I really enjoyed it. I found it super valuable.
Me too.
I've taken a lot from it, and I hope other people will as well. And yes, until next time.
Until next time.
Thanks for joining us. If you have thoughts, questions, or even your own experiences to share, we'd love to hear from you. So connect with us on LinkedIn.
Or if you've got a topic or a challenge you'd like us to explore in a future episode, why not drop us a message? Until next time,